a knack for finding some seams and finding some open ability. He does a really good job of extending the play with his legs, and he can run. And he's a tough, gritty kid. And
got some leaping ability?
He's got some leaping ability, even though we might
I would think
prefer him to stay on the ground.
Welcome to Cardinal Coaches Corner. Our guest this week is Sherard Poteete, the 8th-year head coach at Trinity Valley Community College, I think in his 14th season at the college. And Poe, you're number 11 in the nation, 2-0, coming off a 37-10 win over Monroe, and then earlier in the season you defeated, in your opener, defeated Independence, Kansas 28-15. You got old Tyler coming to town Saturday. They're number 5. They're 2-0. But before we start, we get to Tyler, and kickoff's at 7 o'clock at Bruce Field, by the way, and we'll get to that at the end of the show. Let's talk about the offensive line. I think it's fair to say that was the biggest question mark coming into the season, not because of the talent you got there, but just because of the non-experience factor, if you will. I think those kids have grown up a lot. Well, and that was one of our things of going from week 1 to week 2 is just our team in general. How much growth can we have from week 1 to week 2? And I just those guys are going to continue to get better just the longer that we play together. The longer that they go out and have series after series after series. And like I said, the majority of our offensive linemen, just that group playing together, them playing their first college football games and those type things up at Independence. And then so now we're getting ready for game 3. So they're going to get better as the season goes along. As a coach and as a play caller, as you see them mature and get more experience, I assume that your playbook gets a little bit deeper. Then you go deeper into your playbook. Yeah, and so right now is like you're wanting to have a little success, right? You want to have some success early, and you don't want to be too wide open, or you don't want to put too much on them too early. So obviously, the better they get, and the more comfortable they get within the schemes and the blocking schemes and the offense, then the more things we can put in. Right. Well, as the season got near, people would ask me questions, well, what does Poe think this year? What does Poe think? And I said, well, one thing I have noticed that he's not coming out and saying, he's got a lot of trust and confidence in his defensive side of the ball. And those guys have not disappointed thus far. No, we've got some guys on that defensive line that can really get after. You got some dudes. They can really get after quarterback. And that's can we continue to grow in just the aspect of being smart and playing disciplined? Against Monroe the other night, we actually had 16 sacks, but 4 of those were negated to 15-yard penalties. Right. So we came away with 12 sacks in a game, which is, that's a great day to be on that side of the line of scrimmage a lot. And so, with those guys, those defensive line putting pressure, we've got some linebackers, Paul Singleton, Xavier Amos, those guys, older linebackers that are making plays there in the middle. It takes a little pressure off the back end, and we got some talented dudes back there as well. Well, the thing I've noticed, too, is it almost seemed like it didn't matter how deep you went into your bench, the depth is really there, too, on defense. On the defensive side, we've got some guys because we can roll some linebackers. We can roll some defensive linemen. You talk about depth, and then you go stat-wise. Darian Blackshire was a guy that didn't make the trip with us to Kansas and had 3 sacks versus Monroe last Saturday, just with some depth there and those type things. But and the secondary is flying around and playing really well also. Well, and as the play caller, that must give you a lot of confidence too, knowing that you can take some chances, like fake punts and onside kicks. Yes. Yeah, and the first onside kick, it went right through 2 guys' hands, and just kind of how you draw it up, and it was called at the right time, and it was executed so close to 100%, but it just kind of went through a guy's hands, and then we pulled off the fake punt was great. We got to kind of see how they lined up to that formation. It was like, ooh, they're not going to pay attention to that guy. And then the 2-minute warning there, that 2-minute timeout kind of saved us right then. I was like, okay, let's go ahead and do that. And, and it was funny talking to their coach, which was like, hey, I told them at that timeout, watch for the fake here. And then later in the game we tried one more onside kick. We were just the opportunity for us to work
at it in an in-game situation.
Well, I guess that also helps you in the future as far as making other teams have to be conscious of that. So they've got to at least spend some time on that when they prepare to play you.
Yeah, hopefully they're preparing for that, and we'll see if we can come up with something else for them to prepare for the following week.
Well, let's go back on the other side of the ball, and the young man you got playing quarterback, Caden Brown. What a great 2 games he's had for you.
He has, and Caden's he's just a kind of a baller. He's got a knack for finding some seams and finding some open ability. He does a really good job of extending the play with his legs, and he can run. And he's a tough, gritty kid, and
got some leaping ability.
He's got some leaping ability, even though we might
although I would think
prefer him to stay on the ground.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And even when you scramble around and you gain a gain of 20 or 25, it's okay to maybe step out of bounds later down the road. Because we've got the first down. So.
Right. Well, and where would you put your running game came to life a little bit down at Palestine Saturday night 2 against Monroe. I'm glad. I know you were glad to see that.
Yeah, and Jamari Williams did a good job. Had some couple of big runs for us, and then I know what Rayshawn King kind of found the end zone as well. But it's kind of trying to work on some pass. We did throw the ball probably a little bit more than maybe we needed to, but just trying to, like I said, work with that offensive line, letting them kind of gel together and continue to see some different fronts and pass protections and those type things that we're trying to work on as we head in now to conference play.
I think through 2 games now, in both games you've thrown the ball in more than 40 times both games, right? Something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, is that something that's just because of the way that the game has progressed, or is that something that you conscious are doing?
No, I think it's just kind of how it went and how things kind of played out the last couple of weeks. Obviously, part of those passing yards were to our punter, Mac Z, right?
Yeah. That's true. Well, let's talk about special teams. Ralph Malfers and Max Zuliger. How's that?
Zuluaga.
I knew.
Max Z.
Okay. Anyway, both of them got big legs.
They do, and Reed did a good job putting the ball in the end zone. Some kickoffs, had a really good day in a kickoff for us. I think we kicked off 8 times, and he just kept kicking the ball deep. And then he made a 45-yarder, made a 50-yarder, and then I even threw him out there. I was like, let's go.
Yeah, we were in a school record. I mean, I was at 58 yards.
So, and he can nail that, and I think he just kind of rushed that one just a bit, and he's got definitely the leg for that. And then Max has done a great job for punting for us. Another guy that averaged 55 yards a punt week 1, and then 49 this past week, and so opportunities to kind of flip the field.
It really does. Okay, we've talked about all the good. Now let's flip the switch just a little bit. I'm guessing the area that you're most concerned about is the number of penalties that you're getting.
Well, we got a little extra work yesterday of just reminders of those things have consequences.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Do you consciously bring it to their attention? I mean, I know you.
Yeah, when you talk about discipline, right? When you get into tough weeks and tough opponents, just like we're going to face this week, Tyler is a very tough opponent, and most disciplined teams probably going to win that football game.
Right.
And can I make a great play and be happy about it and go back and do it again, or do I have to let everybody know about it? And I promise you, when we watch film, we'll know about it. But can we be the most disciplined team this week?
Back when I played way back in the 70s, our coaches addressed it with up and downs, and that got our attention pretty quick. Well, you mentioned Tyler, and they had a nice season last year, kind of triggered by the game, the way our game with them ended, them being 14-10 in overtime, I think, at their place. They kind of sent them on the way to a good season. It's a big game for a conference opener.
It is. It's a conference opener, and Tyler, they're good. Their defense is playing really, really well.
Went on the road and got a great win over Snow.
They did, and they've beat a team out of the Jayhawk League up in Kansas. Right. They beat Dodge week 1, and they went on the road and beat a good Snow College football team, and so they're coming back to Texas with a 2-0 record and a top 5 ranking, and I think it's very deserved. And they're a good football team. So Coach Jacobs has got them playing well.
What do you see as the strength of what they do on offense and defense?
Well, their defense right now is the first thing that stands out when you just flip on the film. They've done a great job. The week 1 versus Dodge, the The biggest gain that they gave up was a 14-yard pass, and last week versus Snow, there was one play at 17 yards. So they haven't been giving up explosive plays. They're making you earn it. Everything's been short yardage, those type of things. So they've done a great job of applying pressure up front. Secondary's played well of just not giving up the big play.
So a game like this could very well come down to turnovers.
Yeah, turnovers and penalties, right? Being disciplined, can you take care of the football?
And the special teams play, too, because sometimes that's the variable that you just don't factor. Most folks don't factor in. I know you're looking forward to Saturday night because of the game itself, but we're honoring our first responders in the area. They're all going to come out, and we're hoping the kids are going to get a chance to greet them on the sideline before the game begins. That's a special thing to do.
Yeah, ever since just kind of going back several years now, that game kind of around the 9/11 date, we've done a lot of things, just honoring our first responders and our veterans and our military people and stuff. So obviously very thankful for their service.
Well, Poe, thanks for stopping by this week. Keep it rolling. That's just, as they say, that's easy for me to say, but it's a little bit harder to do in this SWJCFC. But the Cardinals have the Tyler at home Saturday at 7 p.m. They're at home the next week against Cisco, and another game we got to get maybe a little revenge factor at 2 p.m. the following week. And we'll have Poe back before the season gets too far along, and hopefully they're still rolling along here ranked and undefeated, but if not, we're still going to catch up with Poe. We'll be back next week with Coach Maria Wynn Ratliff, who will be the head softball coach. We'll have some exciting news to talk about there. We hope you'll join us then on the Cardinal Coaches Corner.